Hi, this is the host. And today's question is, can I find out what happened to my birth mother? For many people, knowing their birth story is a vital part of their identity. When you don't know where you came from, it's hard to know where you're going. Today we have a great example of this. Our next letter is from someone whose birth mother gave her up for adoption. She was adopted domestically and grew up in foster care. She has recently found her biological family, but they don't remember her birth mother. Now she's hoping that we might be able to help. So let's take a look at her story. This is a letter that was sent to us by one of our viewers who wishes to remain anonymous. My birth mother gave me up for adoption in 1968 in San Diego, California. I grew up with 2 adoptive parents and 3 adoptive siblings. I was raised in a loving home. My parents were wonderful. Unfortunately, they couldn't have children of their own, so they adopted. All 4 of us kids were adopted. My sister and brother were adopted from Korea. My youngest sister was adopted from Taiwan, and I was adopted domestically. My biological mother gave me up because she could not keep up with the care of 7 children. The agency that facilitated my adoption told me that she was 17 years old when I was born, and she had 3 other children after giving me up for adoption. The last child she had was in 1973. My father married his first cousin once removed. So he had a first cousin who was only 8 years older than him, and they married. They had a daughter, then they had a son, and then my birth mother gave them another daughter, my younger sister. After they had my sister, my birth mother's father died, and she moved to Las Vegas with her mother and 2 brothers. Her brothers both became police officers. One became a motorcycle policeman, and one became an undercover narcotics officer. In the late 1980s or early 1990s, I began searching for my birth mother. I contacted the Catholic Charities Adoption Agency that facilitated my adoption, but they said they could not locate her. So I joined a support group for adoptees. There I learned about a nationwide search service that reunited more than 100,000 adoptees with their biological families. I paid the fee and submitted my information. About 2 years later, I received a letter saying they had located my birth mother. I was overjoyed. I remember sitting on the floor with the letter in my hands, crying tears of joy. I called her and we talked for hours. We spoke about our lives, about how we were doing, and we exchanged pictures. Then she told me that she had one more child, a son, and that she would give me his number if I wanted to contact him. I told her no. I knew I had 3 half-siblings, but I didn't want to meet any of them. At the time, I was happy just knowing that my birth mother was alive. We spoke periodically over the next few years. Every time we spoke, she would tell me stories about her life, about her childhood, about her parents, her brothers, and all of her children. Sadly, my birth mother passed away in 2013. In 2014, I received a call from my half-sister. She told me that she had been looking for me for years. She said that she had a dream about her family that kept her going. She said she had a dream about her entire family being together. And it was until she saw me on Facebook that she realized her dream would come true. I cried. I still cry when I think about it. She tried calling me several times before I finally returned her call. And when I did, she begged me to talk to her and promised that she would help me find my birth mother. I remember sitting on the floor crying. I told her that my birth mother had already passed away, and I remember screaming, "Why didn't you call me sooner?" I still feel guilty about yelling at her. She didn't deserve that. It's been almost 10 years since my birth mother passed away, and in that time, I have grown very close to my half-sister and her husband. They live in Washington State, and I live in California. If possible, I would like to locate my 2 other half-siblings and my birth father. I am hoping that one of your viewers might be related to my birth mother and might know something about her, maybe even her maiden name. I know that's a long shot, but I'm willing to try anything. It's important to note that even though it's been 55 years since my birth mother gave me up for adoption, she never stopped thinking of me. Even after all this time, she still thought of me often. She would often bring up the what-ifs. What if I hadn't given her up for adoption? What if I had kept her? She often wondered how I turned out. She would tell my half-sister and her husband that I probably had a good life growing up. I had a great childhood. My parents loved me and provided for me. However, it took a toll on my half-sister. Hearing that, and not being able to do anything about it, made her sad. So I hope that by sharing my birth mother's story, I can bring some closure to my half-sister. I know that she thinks that I've rejected her, but I haven't. I have no idea why she reached out to me. Maybe she wanted to tell me these things. Maybe she wanted to fulfill her dream. Maybe she felt bad about not contacting me sooner. Whatever her reason, I'm glad she contacted me. I'm grateful that she did. I also understand that there are so many people who don't ever want to look for their biological families. It's a sensitive subject. Some people don't want to open up old wounds. Some people don't want to hurt their adoptive families. Others want to move on with their lives. It's perfectly fine, either way. For me, I want to know my roots. I want to know where I come from. And if it means hurting my birth mother's family, then I don't want to know. But I don't think it will. I think that they'll be happy to help. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that my birth mother and her brothers. They moved to Vegas in the mid-1960s. This is just a guess, but I'm guessing that their father, my grandfather, he passed away in the early 1960s. My birth mother would always tell me stories about him and how much she missed him. He was a strict man, but he was fair. My birth mother said that he taught her how to shoot a rifle and how to fish. Well, thank you so much for listening to my story. Thank you again for listening to her story. Hopefully, we'll be able to help. So here's what we're looking for. Anything that might lead us to her birth mother's family tree. Remember, we're looking for anyone related to her birth mother. That includes uncles, aunts, grandparents, cousins, etc. We're really trying to cast as wide a net as we can, so please share anything you might know with us. Okay, now let's take a look at the facts of the case. As far as we know, our subject was born in San Diego, California in 1968. Her birth mother lived in San Diego, California, Las Vegas, Nevada. Also, the team was able to determine that our subject's birth mother had 3 other children besides her, 1 boy and 2 girls. The boy was born in 1973 and he was adopted. He grew up in Washington State, and the 2 girls, they were adopted and they grew up in California. One of them lives in Florida and the other one lives in Oregon. Our team was able to talk to both of them. They've agreed to be interviewed on this show, but they asked that we don't use their real names. Instead, we'll refer to them as Sarah and Maria. Now let's talk about our subject's birth mother. We know that she was born in 1951, so she's currently 72 years old. She worked as a waitress. She liked to bowl. She was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She passed away in 2013. Her cause of death was cancer. She was buried in a cemetery in Pahrump, Nevada. Her headstone reads, "Loving wife, mother, daughter, sister, aunt, and friend." Our subject's birth father was named Robert Lee Petty. He was born in 1946. He was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He had a stroke and passed away in 2015. He was cremated. His ashes were buried next to our subject's birth mother in that same cemetery in Pahrump, Nevada. Now let's take a look at our subject's half-siblings. We know that the boy who was adopted in 1973, we'll call him John. He lives in Washington State and he works as a machinist. Our subject's other half-sister, we'll call her Mary. She lives in Florida and she works in sales. If you know anything about this family, please contact us. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach us through the provided email. Also, if you have a story that you'd like for us to tell, please submit it to the provided email. Until next time, this is the host.